Hey, this is Brent with Lykins Motorsports. These are CHI 225cc heads. These are the 3V heads. This particular pair of heads is for our 464 cleaver engine that we're doing, and these have been imported. They do, I think, about 380 CFM. The port opening is not changed from the way that CHI cast them, so you still have a fairly small port volume. Two 190, one 650 valves. So we're doing all that with a fairly small valve, a light valve. Here's the springs that I'm going to be using. These are pack springs. These are solid roller springs, but they are only, if I remember correctly, about 1.3 inches in diameter. So long gone are the days where you see solid roller cams and people reaching for triple springs that are inch 650 and all that stuff. We've kindly moved far from that. Light springs are good. Light spring retainers are good. So these things are very, very small and light. About 260 or 70 pound seat, about 800 pounds over the nose with these. So telling you all this as an intro because this is as far as I can go on this particular head that I was getting ready to work on. And I'll do another video in the future and we'll recap all that and hopefully get a little bit further on it. The retainers were much taller than what I was planning on, so I snagged some pack valve locks, but I snagged some plus 50 locks. I should have grabbed the standard locks. It would have helped me out. You don't want to be stacking shims under the locators if you can't help it. In addition to all that, I was testing valve springs, and I just sent my intercomp spring pressure tester out a couple months ago to have it refurbished. It was felt awfully sandy and gritty when you turn the handle. They sent it back to me, but something else is wrong with it. So I stopped immediately on that and noticed that it just wasn't feeling right. And when you're dealing with race motors and big valve springs and that sort of thing, I just don't want to take any chances. So with that being said, I'm going to push this head aside and show you something else. Alright, so if you've been a subscriber of the channel for a while, or you've binge watched some of the previous videos, you would know that we do a couple of small block Ford tunnel port engines. Here is another set of heads. These are tunnel port race heads. So they are set up for big valves. Two 150 and roughly a hair under 1/600. So this is for Mr. Mark. We did a street small block Ford tunnel port engine for him a little while back, and this one's going to be a race engine. So I think I've mentioned this in the past. Using a world block that we already have, the machine work will probably get started on that block here in a couple weeks. We've got a Bryant crank and some Dyer's rods, and got some T&D rockers for small block Ford tunnel port heads that were kind of special made for us by Sheldon at T&D. So those are here. I've had these heads for a couple months. Mr. Mark finally found another pair. He had originally sent one pair, but due to some discrepancies between the two, we decided not to use those. These look like a matched pair, and haven't looked them over too closely yet, but it doesn't look like anybody's carved on them too hard, so we're in pretty good shape. It's interesting to see crane etched in there. But exhaust ports look as cast. Intake ports look as cast. Combustion chambers look kind of smooth, but I don't know if that was a tendency for Ford to do that or not. The valve job looks nothing special, and it doesn't appear that they've had any seats put in them. Just as a rough overview, me looking through the camera, this is the first time I've seen them. I just got them out of the box today in preparation for another build. We were on holding pattern while Mark looked for some other heads, and I had to jump some other engines in front of him. So just taking a look at all this, and I'll drop these off next week to have them cleaned up, to have some valve guides put in and all that stuff. We normally don't run these through the steel abrader just because of all these tubes and everything, and we don't want to damage the tubes or anything like that. So probably glass bead these heads, get them all cleaned up, and then you can tell that these are for the race. These are the race heads, you can see, because of the pattern for the race rockers. This was a feed hole for the oiling, so the small block Ford tunnel port blocks were special because they oiled the heads through the cam bearings, kind of like a Ford FE does. The street heads just had stud mounted rockers, and they oiled through the push rods. So we're going to do away with this since we're using an aftermarket block. We're going to be oiling through the push rods. The T&D rockers do that. So this is going to be a road race engine. We decided to use them as is and just see what potential they really had using a little bit bigger engine than what they used back in 68, 69, 70. And modern camshaft, modern pistons and dry sump, and that sort of thing. So we're going to see what the potential is for these old factory iron pieces. We had originally planned to do just a hog wild deal, fill the ports in, make them small, do a sheet metal intake, but we've decided to leave them vintage. So it's going to be a neat old engine. Can't wait to get started on it. We're a little ways away. Once the block is machined and once we get everything cleaned up here with the valves and the deck surfaces, then we can order some pistons. Does not look like these have been cut, so pretty cool. I don't see any epoxy or anything in the deck surfaces, which is good. Let me flip this guy over and flip the other one over. Okay, same deal. Looks as cast. Chambers look smoothed out. Good thumbprint. No epoxy or anything in the deck surfaces. So everything looks good. These are, I used to think these were rarer than hen's teeth, but it seems like we've come across several pairs of them here in the past couple of years, both street and race. And there was even a guy on Instagram that contacted me and said that he had a set along with an intake, if anybody was looking for a set. So the biggest issue with these heads was, you get this big intake port going, and they were trying to put these on a 302 sized engine, and they were just having to, spin them to the moon. And back in the 60s and early 70s, the oiling just wasn't up to snuff with factory rods and that sort of thing, so they kept tearing parts up. But we're going to be using an aftermarket block and a Bryant crank, and we're going to throw some cubic inches at it and little camshaft magic and some good quality parts in the bottom end. So I can't wait. Okay, I'm going to leave you with that. Hopefully we'll get spring pressure tester set back up here pretty soon so I can get those CHI heads together and we'll get started on this next build. Hope you guys had a good Thanksgiving. Hope your weekend will be fun, and I'll talk to you next week. Hopefully you got some more videos to show you. Y'all take care.